Good morning. Okay, look, I think we've got to address this. It's getting out of control around the world. WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks, the international cyclone of leaks from American embassies and consulates. Now, it's a cyclone that's been created by a Melbourne man, Julian Assange. And I need to say from the start, Julian Assange is not a spy or a traitor or a crook. Some in the United States are now calling for his assassination. They at least want him charged with treason and locked away for life. Julia Gillard, our own Prime Minister, wants him arrested. And there are claims he's now in custody because of trumped-up rape charges effectively invented by spies. That's how bizarre this has become. Julian Assange has carried out a legitimate journalistic exercise so far. Look, he's deeply embarrassed the United States. This is the most sophisticated intelligence organisation in the world. They pour billions and billions of dollars into the CIA and other intelligence operations. They try to micromanage the world, and it's looking Mickey Mouse. Here we have the most powerful country with the most sophisticated system for spies exposed by a baggy bum reporter from Melbourne. But what is important so far is not so much what's in WikiLeaks, it's the way the world has reacted. Julia Gillard and the Australian government have behaved disgracefully here. They want to lock him up. If they want to lock up Julian Assange, they should lock up Laurie Oakes too. He regularly gets sensitive leaks that embarrass governments. This is about information, not espionage. And it's now about, I believe, it's about the incompetence of the United States, because most of what's been revealed is really fairly obvious. It's gossip. Some in the United States, as I said, want Assange assassinated. They want to kill a man for running what really amounts to the world's biggest ever gossip column. And although Julia Gillard doesn't want him dead, she wants him in jail, which to me shows that our Prime Minister either doesn't understand democracy or doesn't care about it. 96900 693 13 13 32. There'll be people who disagree with me. There's a great deal of effort and spin being put into the argument that this is all a massive threat to international safety. And look, I would say that you don't just release stuff that's leaked to you for the sake of it. You've got to balance the leaks and the benefits against the dangers. But so far, what's been released in this country has been pretty ordinary. Today, or pretty harmless, we find that Mark Arbib, the sports minister, has been telling the US ambassador all sorts of things about the political scene. Yesterday, of course, the ambassador we found had assessed Kevin Rudd as a control freak, which is fairly perceptive. But today, the Americans have said in Australia, Arbib is a protected source, whatever that means. But this really looks like the US ambassador talking himself up. Everything that's quoted from Arbib in The Age today was freely available in the newspapers. Things like, Kevin Rudd is on the skids. Julia will replace him. Well, I reckon I was saying that on every second day. Julia Gillard was even going to the trouble of saying, Barry, I'm more likely to play full forward for Footscray. It was out there in public. Julia was denying it. And that's part of the problem with these leaks. They display the politicians as liars, as spin addicts. They show the politicians are trying to con the people. But most of the information in Australia, at least, dead obvious. No state secrets, analysis freely available. So it seems that the various ambassadors have tried to talk themselves up as having inside sources when all they're doing is repeating what was publicly known. Look, I'll give you an example of how this can happen. I interviewed the US ambassador earlier in the year. He came into the studio, nice bloke. We chatted before he went to air, we chatted after. I can't remember what we discussed, but the chances are I would have offered him my assessment on Kevin Rudd and Julia Gillard and whoever if he asked. I don't know, I don't remember. But if I did, I would have been saying exactly what I was saying publicly. And he could well have passed that on. He could have said his source was a highly placed media man. Well, I did tell him things. I also said every second day on radio, all he had to do is turn the radio on. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the way the world works. And yet there's nothing, for Australia's point of view, sinister in WikiLeaks. Embarrassing, yes, but the real embarrassment is the fact they leaked. Kevin Rudd put his finger on that when he was talking to me yesterday, and he really went to the core of it, I think.
Look, I think there's a key question which is in what you just raised, Neil, which is what's the core problem here? The core problem here is the unauthorised release of these things by the US system. There are problems in their system, and that'll all be established in their own legal processes in due course. But when you've got 250,000 cables kicking around out there, and on top of that, you have people who have had access in the US system to these sorts of cables, in excess of 2 million people, That's where the core of the problem lies.
And he's right. That's the point. Secret messages seen by 2 million people. How sensitive can they be? How secure can they be? Look, maybe more dangerous stuff to come out. I still think, even as I said, when you get a leak, you've got a responsibility to assess the dangers of that leak. You don't publish stuff just for the sake of it. You balance the risk against the benefit against the danger. But this really in Australia has just been low-level gossip and posturing. I'll give you a sense of what the mood is in the United States. So this is from a Washington Post editorial, very well-respected newspaper, and they say this, quote, "The world is witnessing the absurd, almost surreal spectacle of the American superpower standing helpless in the face of a lone hacker. Her diplomatic secrets are no longer safe, her allies and friends are being betrayed, and her cyber enemies are free to roam with impunity. America is no longer feared or respected." Unquote. This is what's going to it's the heart of it. It's their ego. America is no longer feared or respected. That's the Washington Post. Now, if that's true, if America is no longer feared or respected, it is not the fault of a hacker from Melbourne. It's the fault of the United States itself.